Welcome back to the Thrive Vodcast, where we break free from old habits and push the boundaries of what's possible in Western hunting. Today, we're diving into some topics that hit close to home for many Western hunters, escaping the rut of old familiar hunting spots and learning to expand our horizons. I just got a message from a Treeline member and he said, "I'm just trying to be 1% better than everyone else." That's the attitude of a winner, and it is a big step in the right direction. Whether it's breaking hunt area paralysis, conquering solo hunting, or using technology tools to elevate hunt area development, this episode will hopefully give you some insights to help you get moving on your upcoming hunts. Let's get to it. Breaking hunt area paralysis, escaping the familiar. This is the perfect time of year to have this discussion, and it's one I find myself having with so many Western hunters. My family has hunted this spot for decades. It's just our spot. I keep going back to this area because I find elk there sometimes. What I also hear, perhaps even more these days, is my spot just isn't what it used to be. Does any of these sound a little familiar? There's a lot to unpack here, and today's show is centered around scratching the new spot itch. The truth is, for a lot of folks, backcountry hunting trips start to look a lot like glorified hiking and camping excursions. Usually they are heavy on the hiking part. Many hunters go back to the same area year after year, putting in mile after mile, hoping that this will be the year. But let's be honest, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Trust me, I get it. There's real comfort in these old spots, and new spots are risky and they're intimidating. But if you're not getting the results you want, it's time to ask yourself the hard question: why am I still here? There are real reasons why we get stuck in the same spot rut. Comfort and confidence. Familiar is reassuring, and it is a powerful influence even when the results are lackluster. You know the trails, you know the drainages, and you know the ridges. There's history there, but comfort breeds stagnation. The moment you feel completely comfortable in a hunting spot, it might be time to spread your wings and move on. Relying on others. Maybe you're hunting where your dad or your grandfather did. Perhaps your hunting partner does most of the hunt planning work. The elk landscape and the hunting pressure is ever changing. To maintain consistent success, you have to adapt. This is exactly what all of the next level hunters I know do. Hunting pressure changes. Backcountry hunting is more popular than ever, and hunting pressure is at an all-time high. Several elk hunting pressure studies have been done, and it's pretty clear that elk respond negatively and dramatically to hunting pressure. As hunters, we must adapt and continually work to outpace and predict that pressure. The animals sure do, and so should you. Finding elk is job one, the only job. Why am I decent at finding elk? Because it's almost all I focus on. My buddy Ryan Lampers loves to give me grief saying, "Too bad you're better at finding elk than killing elk." And you know what? He's not totally wrong. The lesson here is that we all have to work on our weaknesses. And I know it's hard to believe, but he does have some. But here's the deal. You can't kill elk if you can't find elk. Period. The end. If your old spot isn't producing, it's time to reevaluate. This is the perfect time of year to have this discussion. Application season is now in full swing, and you've got months to plan, strategize, and more importantly, push yourself to expand your Western horizons. Solo versus group hunting, no excuses. So many hunters have told me, "My partner bailed on me, so I couldn't hunt elk this year." Finding perfectly matched hunting partners could be an entire episode, and it probably will be, because it's a very real issue. You can't afford to let someone else's limitations keep you from expanding as a Western hunter. The dynamics of group hunting or hunting with a partner can be another reason hunters stay stuck in that same spot rut. Hunting solo should never be taken off the table. I know solo hunting can be more than a bit intimidating, especially Western solo hunting. You throw in a hunt deep in grizzly country and it gets even worse. I get all of that. Until the last few years, I was almost exclusively a solo hunter. Yes, there's a significant fear or nervous factor, but some of my best and most rewarding adventures have been on solo hunts. Yes, you're operating without a safety net, but these hunts have taught me resilience, independence, and the importance of planning, and how to rely on and to trust my instincts. Solo hunting in the Western backcountry is an experience like no other, equal parts intimidating, challenging, and rewarding. If you can embrace it, you will many times move your hunting pursuits to an entirely new level. I wrote an article for GOHUNT a while back about the unique challenges of solo hunting and how to overcome them. I've linked to that article in the text description below. Paralysis by analysis, it can become a big issue. You are deep in the backcountry. You only have a few days left on the hunt. You are physically and mentally fatigued. Your nutritional and hydration situation is marginal. You miss your family. The hunt hasn't gone exactly as planned, and maybe you're starting to get those "it's time to come home" texts. This is a dangerous hunt-killing combination, but unfortunately a common one. The mounting pressure almost always leads to poor decisions and mental gridlock. Have you ever found yourself lying in your tent, staring at your hunt application, questioning every move, unsure of the right direction as your hunting time slips away? There are only two kinds of Western hunters, those that have gone through that exact scenario and those that will. The important part is, what do you do when it happens, and what can you do to limit the effects? First, why does it happen? Decision paralysis often stems from a combination of physical exhaustion and mental strain. After days of hard hunting, you're likely calorie deficit, sleep deprived, and you're physically taxed. All of this combines to slow and affect your decision making. When you add in the pressure of a pending hunt deadline, along with family and work obligations, suddenly every choice becomes a high-stake debate. How to combat it? Preparation. The first line of defense is a well-developed, written strategic hunt plan. This is your anchor or your grounding resource. Rational thinking is many times hard to come by on these long, exhausting hunts, and having these pre-planned actions reduces the need for in-the-moment, self-defeating deliberations. Act decisively. When paralysis sets in, adopt a bias towards action. Even a small decision is better than no decision and doing nothing. Commit to a move, make it, and follow through. Your mindset. Ending a hunt early should never be an option and should be completely taken off the table, period. Adopt that mindset, no exceptions, before you even step foot in the mountains. Not every decision will lead to success, and those who embrace that fact seem to always come out better in the end. Lean into the process, make informed decisions, and embrace the challenge. Escaping the familiar is easier than you might think. Using hunt area polygons. In this strategy segment, I'm going to show you how I utilize the polygon or the area tool to identify, organize, and track the evaluation process of potential hunt areas. This is something I do a lot during the early phases of hunt planning. Let's assume we are looking at an entirely new unit, maybe even a potentially new state. When developing a hunt area, one of the first orders of business is to start breaking down the terrain and the landscape, evaluating the pressure points, and identifying those key elk finding features. I like to use the polygon or the area tool to box in those areas of consideration. These defined areas will eventually be developed into viable potential hunt areas, or they'll be deleted as I work through the complete evaluation process. Today, we're going to focus specifically on initial hunt area identification and organization. This is only a small fraction of the comprehensive elk finding game. In the Treeline e-scouting elk course, we evaluate potential hunt areas using roughly 12 core elk finding features. The more features we can identify within a given hunt area, the more likely our chances of running into elk in those areas. Once we find an area that we are initially interested in, what do we do with it, and what can we do to make it easier to revisit and work on this potential hunt area during our year-long hunt planning process? For this example, we're going to jump into Google Earth Pro and utilize the Treeline Google Earth Pro toolkits. Once we have created some initial hunt areas, we are then going to export and import them into Onyx and Gaia GPS and outline some benefits of using those applications alongside Google Earth Pro. Okay, so here we are in Google Earth Pro, and you can see, first of all, over here in the My Places panel, we've got our Treeline Google Earth toolkits installed. If we expand that, we're going to get access to our various base map layers and all of our individual estates. So for this demonstration, I'm going to open up Colorado. I'm going to turn on the Colorado Game Management Unit borders with labels, and you can see that it fills in all of the units with the various unit numbers. So we've got these 3 sample hunt areas. Guys, these are random areas. There's no method to this. These are certainly not good elk hunting spots. I mean, they might be, but I have no idea. I'm just doing random hunt areas. Okay, so for this demonstration, though, I'm going to turn off the game management units because Sometimes when you have these borders open, they overlay all of your waypoints. For example, if I come down here and zoom in on this particular hunt area that I've developed and I click on it, you can see that it brings up the unit 76. It's got the DAU numbers. It's got the total acreage, etc., square miles, because it's an overlay. If I turn this game management unit border off and I click back on that same hunt area, you can see that it brings up the notes. So I'm going to turn that off. So I'm going to zoom out again. You can see that we've got these 3 hunt areas already in. We're going to add one so I can show you real quick just how you add one. It's a real simple process. You probably already know how to do all of this. So this is the area tool or the polygon. So we're going to click that. And we're going to say new polygon. We're going to move that out of the way. So we're just going to click along the ridge line here because we're going to set up our, so you see how it did it in blue already. That's because the last one we did, it remembers the setting. But when you do it, it's going to be like solid white. So how you change all of that is you go to style and color. You'll set your line to whatever color. We set it to blue. We say, okay, set it to 1.5, whatever you want. And then the key part here is to select the area of the same color. And then you say filled and outlined. And then you say 25%. That gives you that transparent look. So when we say okay to that, you can see that now that hunt area looks very similar to this. So when I create hunt areas, I follow kind of a naming sequence that helps me keep track of what I'm working on. So just for clarity purpose, you can see we've got a sheep mountain dash deer with no question mark on it with 2 asterisks, etc. So what does all this mean? Okay, number 1 is the color. So you can see that we've got 2 blue ones. Well, we've got 3 blue ones really. So let's zoom out. We've got 3 blue areas. That tells me immediately that those are elk areas. And then we've got this 1 yellow area, which means that's a mule deer area for me. And then I use orange for bears. So that's the 3 color sequences I use for those 3 species hunt areas. So when you look at the screen, you can immediately tell what you're doing and where you've been before. And you can pick up very easily where you left off. Okay, so now that we've created these 4 hunt areas, we've gone over the naming sequence that we use, and we've gone over the colors that we use. What other identifying factors are we trying to put into this naming sequence? Well, you can see that we've got this question mark on the end of a couple of these. The question mark to me means that this hunt area is still in development. It means it's in some stage of development. It means that we're still working on it. It's not fully vetted. You can see that this sheep mountain one does not have a question mark. And for me, that means that this hunt area is pretty ready to go. Might need a few things, but for the most part, it's been fleshed out. And then you can see the asterisks. So if the hunt area name has 1 asterisk, like this red mountain hunt area, that means that I'm interested in this area. Of course I'm interested or I wouldn't have created it, but it's in a very early stage. I'm not really bought into this area. It's important. I'm interested in it, but that's about it. When you see a 2 like this sheep mountain, that tells me that I like this area. It looks pretty good. I'm excited about this area, and it's just a way to prioritize hunt areas. And when you see a 3, that means that I'm really liking this area. It seems to have a lot of features that I'm looking for, and it probably should make my hunt planning list for a future hunt. So I use a priority scale of 1, 2, or 3 asterisks just to give me some ideas of what I was thinking when I created these hunt areas. So I have like 100 some hunt areas in my OnX, as you'll see here coming up. So these principles allow me to really keep my hunt areas organized and ready to go. Okay, before we show you how to export and import, the last thing I wanted to bring up was the notes feature. So if we zoom in here on this red mountain area a little bit, you can see that if I click on it, it highlights it over here in the panel. And it also brings up this description window. These are notes that I've typed into this hunt area. So if I come over here and I right click and I say get info, it's going to bring up the box. So basically this is my journal that I kind of keep for each hunt area as it's in development stage. When you've got 100 hunt areas that you've been working on for years and you come back or you want to revisit these hunt areas, this information is absolutely invaluable. Having these notes, having this journal text gives you immediately, you can pick up right where you left off. So in this show, I'm just really giving you a quick overview of what we cover in my Treeline East Guiding Elk course, but I want to show you one final step here, how to export and then import and then modify in the various hunt applications. So we're going to select this sheep mountain one up here. We're going to click on it. You can see that it's highlighted here. We're going to right click on it and we're going to come down here to save place as. So we're going to select KML because KML is the most universal export from Google Earth. KMZ is a compressed version of the KML, but some of the hunt applications will not import the KMZ. So I just always pick the KML. We're going to save it to our desktop. So now we're going to jump over to first Gaia GPS. So we're kind of in this same general area. You can see that we've got this blue hunt area down here. You can see we've got a lot of other waypoints as well, but we've got this blue-red mountain area. And remember, we have this yellow hunt area, which is right up in here somewhere. So we're going to import that. So in Gaia, we're going to come over here. We're going to say import data. We're going to grab the file, jump out to the desktop, grab that sheep mountain deer file, which is right there, the KML file. And we're going to say open. So you can see it brings it in. Before we jump over to OnX and show you how to import there, I'm going to show you one last thing. Remember, I mentioned earlier that Gaia and OnX gives you the ability to turn off individual waypoints, all of your waypoints, or you can turn off all of your areas. So we've got this area. You can see we've got two areas turned on. If we come over here and click the overlays, you can see that now we've got all of our different features. We got waypoints. If we want to turn off all of our waypoints, we can just turn them off. So now we've only got left as our hunt areas. So we can turn off those hunt areas. You really got a lot of control over what you can see on your screen. I use this all the time because when you've got the area turned on, it creates this blue transparent. It's not as easy to work and develop your hunt area when that's turned on. So I like to, when I'm working in a hunt area, I like to turn that off. But if I'm looking at a big view and I want to see all the areas that I developed in a state or in a unit, for example, then I'll turn them on. Okay, so let's jump over here to OnX and we're going to do a quick import since the majority of you probably do use OnX. So we're going to click over on the My Content. We're going to say import. We're going to navigate to that file on our desktop. We're going to select it. We're going to say open and it's going to bring that up and we're going to say import. So it's going to import that hunt area, but look what it's doing. So we can see that when it imported that yellow area, it reverted back to the red default. So we can say show on map. And I'm going to click on that hunt area now. Now that we've got it activated, we can come in here and we can edit it. So if I click on edit, I can open up the window. I can change the line color to yellow and I can change the transparency to yellow as well. So when we're editing this as well, we've got not only our colors, but if you scroll down, we can change the weight and the style. We can add in our journal, our hunt notes, keep track as well. So that hunt area has been imported into OnX and it's ready to go. So remember in Gaia how we could show and hide? Well, there's two ways to do that in OnX as well. So if we click on it, you can hide them individually, like right here. You can just turn it off, but this can be a problem because that's an individual basis situation. So you're going to have to know that there's hunt areas in your area to turn those on or off. Usually I find myself, I either want all hunt areas on or I want all hunt areas off. I don't want to mess with individually turning them on or off because I lose track of what's what. So I'm going to turn that back on and I'm going to hit close that down and I'm going to come over here to My Content. So I'm going to scroll down here in My Content. I'm going to come down here to areas. You can see that I have 92 hunt areas. So I can click on this and I can say hide all. So it hides all the areas and it tells me that they're hidden. So when I want to turn them back on to be able to see them all, I can just turn them all back on. This is a really useful function to turn on and off hunt areas in OnX. On some of the Thrive Vodcast shows, I'm going to highlight podcasts, movies, and other resources that I think you will find informative and entertaining. The eHunter podcast. I recently did a podcast with Taryn Hunt on the eHunter podcast. This was a really fun podcast. We had a great conversation about being an entrepreneur, solo hunting, backcountry nutrition, and assorted other rabbit holes. I really think you're going to enjoy this one. I've included a link to the podcast in the text description below. Gritty Films. Just in case you've been living under a rock lately and you've not seen Brian Call's latest films, I wanted to quickly highlight a couple of them. The Struggle. This was a hard-hitting movie, and I thought Brian Call did a fantastic job of capturing the true essence of why we all love Western hunting as much as we do. If you love elk hunting, this is a must-see film. This might be my favorite all-time Brian Call film. Blood in the Snow. Wolf hunts are always crazy popular, but they also draw out all the crazies. This is an epic wolf hunt with Ryan and Brian, and this one makes you feel like you're right there with them. I think you're going to enjoy both of these films. I've included links in the text description below. I hope you're enjoying the Thrive Vodcast as much as I'm enjoying doing it. I hope you'll consider subscribing to the PEAX Equipment YouTube channel and turning on your notifications so that you never miss an episode. More importantly, please leave me comments below and let me know what your most pressing backcountry questions are. Share the show with your hunting partners and on your social media. Western hunting success is not always defined the same way. Those who embrace the challenge, break free from their comfort zones, and continually expand their skill sets seem to find success. Success does not always come to those who play it safe or stick with what's comfortable. It comes to those who are willing to take risks, make bold moves, and trust in their preparations. Work on your weaknesses until they become your strengths. I'll see you next time.